Welcome everybody to episode number 6 of Yes,
Pero no.
We're so glad that you're here, and if you love our podcast, please make sure that you like this video and also that you subscribe to our channel. Every single person that subscribes really helps us.
Sí, señor. Así nos ayudan a nosotros a crecer, and that way we can also connect with you in your car, in your home, or wherever you are in the planet.
Absolutely. So you know that if you prefer to listen to us, you can listen to us on Spotify or also on Apple Podcasts. Just search Yes Pero No and we are right there, or the link is in our description. Y acuérdense que si necesitan la traducción, pueden hacerlo con el auto-translate, que nosotros lo explicamos creo que en el video número 2.
Yes.
Así que pueden volver al video número 2 para ver cómo hacer la traducción en español o any other language that you would like to hear us. You can translate what we're saying to your specific language. And you can check it out in episode number 2. So what are we going to talk about today?
We're going to talk about lo que viene siendo the human interaction with wild animals.
Oh boy. Yes, exotic animals. Joe has a lot of experience in that. Well, he is married to me, you know. But anyway, yeah, that's going to be interesting to talk about. And we're going to be learning a couple of things. Also, we are going to talk about how we feel about the older generation versus the newer generation and all the changes that we have seen in the last, I would say, 20 years. What is better? What is not so good nowadays? Or what is better nowadays? Let's go ahead and talk about that. You ready?
Yeah, we're ready.
All right, let's jump right in. First thing is first, exotic animals, wild animals, and human interaction. So there was a footage that went viral of workers at the Fort Worth Zoo that unexpectedly get trapped with Elmo. And I'm not talking about the red monster from Sesame Street.
Elmo's world.
Not that Elmo. We are talking about a silverback gorilla in its enclosure, okay? Let's go ahead and see the video so you guys can see what I'm talking about.
I think, what? Shoot, she doesn't know. Oh my god.
He's huge.
Come here, guys. We're gonna go inside.
Yeah.
We're gonna go inside.
She doesn't know.
Come on, guys. Let's go inside.
Come on, guys.
We're gonna go inside. Let's go.
That's quite some time. He's just looking at her.
He's analyzing it,
The situation.
assessing the environment.
There's the other one.
Oh my gosh. God help her. God help her. God help her. God help her.
Please protect her.
He started to pray.
Please protect
God
her.
help her. God protect her.
You know, like this animal
God,
come here.
animals obey.
Imagínate, they were pretty scared.
Please protect her.
God.
You would think they would just shoot a tranquilizer or something, right?
Yeah, that would be the
Ideal.
solution. Not the ideal, but that would be the solution in that situation. Momentos de tensión.
That is
sure.
a long time.
Yeah, it seems like an eternity.
Please protect her.
It's been about a minute and a half, and I would be dying. I would have died already in there. Oh.
Protect her. Lord.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord.
Ahí donde más la gente se acuerda de Dios.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Thank you, Lord.
Let me ask you a question.
Woo! Wait a second, I need to breathe.
If you were given the option of you are trapped in a gorilla, containment like that, or que te pongan, they just release you
From
into
where?
a prison in a general population, que te tiren ahí en la prisión, surrounded by all these people that you don't know, que they're murderers and all that stuff.
Okay.
Where would you feel more fear? There or in prison?
Listen, your little feet are crawling over to me. I see them. Listen, For those of you that know me, and if you don't, I got some delinquents in my background. So
Okay.
I think I'd be more comfy. My 305 in me, I would be more comfy in the general population. I
Really?
would get in, absolutely. I'd get in there. I'd find out who am I best, to be part of that,
Really?
group. Absolutely. Who's going to be covering me and
Really?
defending me. And I would have to work out some moves versus the gorilla.
Yeah.
Of course.
I prefer to be in the gorilla.
No, because
Yeah.
you have had conversations with them
Yes, I did.
and you know how to deal with exotic animals. I do not. I am more in touch with humans. It's just the way it
I
is.
don't know. I think I trust. I never been bitten by any exotic animal, including venomous snakes, crocodiles. I mean, you name it. I had them all. Bats.
Well, we're going to talk more in
Pero
detail
nunca,
about
nunca.
all these animals you have.
I never been attacked or bitten by any of these animals.
That's
but
okay, but in this situation, you don't know how that animal is going to react.
You can read, pretty much his body language.
No, I cannot read a thing. All I read is
It's
the
run.
panic. Is
Run
the
for your
panic,
life.
and I am hyperventilating. Okay.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. This thing happened in October of 2023. For some reason, the person that actually posted this TikTok or this video, and it went viral. It had over 25 million views, of course. Now, the zoo visitors, you can hear them. They're praying. They're saying like, "Oh my gosh,
Claro.
God help her. God help her. Thank you, God. Thank you, God." Of course, everybody's panicking, right? Thank God that the employees stayed calm. So obviously what you have to do if you are encountering some kind of bear
not
or-
anybody can work in a zoo. I mean, you have to be trained.
Right, so
you
these
have to understand
zookeepers-
animal behavior.
Yes.
Especially when you're doing with apes. I mean, esto es extremadamente peligroso.
I can
If you don't know
imagine.
what you're doing, that animal can rip you apart. It has like the force of 10 human beings.
Well, I
O sea,
mean, you can see just the back muscles and everything, and the way he was just looking at them. That is so scary. So supposedly the zookeepers entered the yard where the gorilla was still in the habitat, and this was due to a zookeeper's error. So what usually happens is that some of the zookeepers will go ahead and shift the gorillas to their indoor habitat, and that way the other keepers can go ahead and place, the containers with the food, the
Clean
animal's
and-
lunch,
yeah, do all
whatever
that
the
stuff.
situation
Right.
is, and that'll be in the outdoor habitat, and then they'll let the gorillas back in. Well, for some reason, there was no communication there or something went wrong, and the zookeepers that are bringing the lunch walk into this silverback gorilla, Mr. Elmo. And and thanks to their knowledge, they were able to stay calm and navigate the situation.
But it's hard to be in that situation. One thing is to be trained for it, and another thing is to be
It's to actually go
there.
through it.
Cuando estás ahí and you see that animal, I mean, it's very intimidating. I have gone a few times to private zoos, and I've seen, I mean, these animals interact with humans. I mean, there was one specifically in the city of Miami, que el nombre de él era King, and I used to, try to use sign language to connect with him, make him, dance and all that. And I would see this animal watching TV. It was incredible. I mean, the similarities between these animals and human beings es algo increíble. I love them. I
know.
really do.
Not only that, but the way that they treat their young, their babies.
Yeah, it's just-
you see them and it's just amazing. And I know you had a monkey at one point that you can talk to us about in a little bit as well.
Yes.
They're just beautiful, beautiful animals. We know by the zoo spokesperson that supposedly everyone is safe. So thankfully, there was no physical contact between the keepers and the gorillas. And all the staff and the animals were absolutely fine, including the visitors at the zoo, but it was definitely very scary. In looking into this topic, I also found this video. Let's take a look at it, because this really was scary.
Hey, don't move, yo.
Don't move.
See, yeah, he's hunting him.
It's like pouncing. He's waiting to pounce like the cats do.
He goes very slowly and
Don't move, don't. He coming, don't move.
yeah,
Stay
lo está cazando because that's what they do. That's their
Boy
nature.
moving dirt slow.
That boy.
And that's something that people don't understand the difference between a domestic animal
Oh my god.
and a wild animal. And we're gonna go into that.
Y'all gotta move, though, bro.
Chill. Stay where you at.
Stop moving, Cecil.
He coming just slow. I'm sliding. That boy break the glass. Boom, boom.
That's what they normally do. I would have been seen them.
I wouldn't be able to do that at all. I couldn't. I don't care what's separating me from that animal. I mean, you could tell there's a glass, right? Like an acrylic separating him. There's no way I would have stayed there anyway. How about the brakes? Look at his feet. Look at his feet.
Cecil, don't move, dog. Cecil, you own
And it
you,
says
dog.
tigers on his shorts. Okay, that just freaks me out. I mean, listen, there's some people that absolutely love animals like yourself. There's other people like me. I mean, I did have cats, you know, as a teenager. I loved cats. I actually saw them giving birth. I saw our first kitty. Her name was Kitty, and I think I was about 12 or 13 years old, and I experienced her having kittens, and that was one of the most beautiful experiences, and I actually helped her, you know, in taking the sack off of their little faces and all of that, and that was beautiful. And then later on, when we actually had a kitty called Sweet Brown, which I named after that viral video of Sweet Brown, where she says that she was barbecuing. If you guys have seen that.
Well, I woke up to go get me a cold pop, and then I thought somebody was barbecuing. I said, oh, Lord Jesus, it's a fire. Then I ran out. I didn't grab no shoes or nothing, Jesus. I ran for my life. And then the smoke got me. I got bronchitis. Ain't nobody got time for that.
She actually, you know, also was a baby of our cat Daisy. Daisy told me when she was going into labor. And I knew it, and I said to Joe, she's gonna go into labor. And it was such a beautiful experience, and she had like 6 babies. And you have probably had dogs that have had puppies, right?
Dogs and cats and lizards
and I still love them. I
snakes.
love babies, like either animal babies or real babies, but you know, not exotic animals. That's definitely something that not everybody is into. I don't know. I mean, something like this would really just scare me. I couldn't do it. You know, you had your shop. I don't know.
People need to understand the difference between a domestic animal or domesticated animal and a wild animal. You know, it took many 100 years to be able to domesticate, you know, some of the animals that we have, like the cats and the dogs and many other animals that we actually make them, you know, part of our daily life. But the problem, people understanding that wild animals can flip or switch their behavior, you know, in a snap. There's people that have bears. You see this guy with a 1,500-pound bear next to him, feeding it, and you see that the bear is very nice and very sweet.
They could turn on you in 1 second.
But yeah, and then that's where, you know, humans should not interact with wild animals unless you're really trained on them and always need to have your safety gear or your safety enclosures and all that to be able to avoid in the event that something happens. You know, not long ago, and you actually went to this event in Las Vegas with, I think it was Siegfried
and Roy.
Siegfried and Roy.
Yes.
They used to have all these tigers. They did.
Yeah, let me see if we can find a video on that.
They did this kind of show for many years. They raised tiger cubs in all their lives, pretty much. And then what happened? One day, the animal flipped, and that's it. That was the end of the game.
But the thing is, you know, and I did see that whole entire documentary or something where they talk about it. And they talk about, you know, the different things that happen and that they don't blame the animal.
Right, because it's a wild animal, and the animal tends to react in a different way. You know, they're defensive, they are territorial, and that's why they behave the same way that they behave. I have a duck. His name is Jack.
Yes.
And even though Jack, you know, I raised him since he was a little patico.
Yeah, a little baby.
You know, I give him a lot of love. I feed him. I play with him. But even though I do all those things, you know, he acts very territorial. You know, when I get near his area, you see him, he fluffs up and...
But also, Jack is traumatized.
Well, besides that, because...
Jack is traumatized because we had an episode where we had talked about it in our duck story a few episodes back, if you haven't seen that. But basically what happened is that his girlfriend was attacked. After that is when I noticed that he got a little bit more upset about things or more
Yeah.
vicious, I would say.
But they tend to be very territorial and very
Yes.
defensive.
Yes.
You can still train them, pero son animales salvajes, and you need to understand que sooner or later something can happen. So that's why you always have to be very careful.
Absolutely.
And you have to be trained. And if you don't want to, get caught in a situation where you cannot get out from it, especially when you deal with the big animals. I mean, I never had ostriches, African ostriches, first of all, because they're very aggressive. Not even lions like to mess up with them. They have a huge spear in their legs, in their feet, and that's how they defend themselves. They'll attack you, and they kick you, and they will go through your body.
Well, we went
And
to the
that's it.
safari
You're done.
recently to take the kids, and you actually take like a van, kind of like a Jurassic Park type of experience, and the animals will come up to you, and then you feed them. But for the ostriches, I think it's the zebras and also the camels. They say do not feed them in their mouth. Just throw it, throw the food on the ground. And so I was like telling the kids, throw it on the ground, throw it on the ground, because these ostriches, they come with their skinny little face to put their head into the window, and you're like, ah! But it is a lot of fun. I mean, I recommend going to safaris and, of course, supporting zoos and all of that, because animals are just amazing and the kids have a great time, but they're scary.
Yeah, they are scary. Anyway, we're going to talk about some cows in Russia. They're doing some kind of different, vamos a decir, treatment to them.
Yeah, like a therapy.
Yeah, están recibiendo a very special therapy, and it's called VR therapy.
Okay, yeah, let's look at that so you guys know what we're talking about.
Take a look at this. This cow is wearing a VR headset, and it's so unusual. So what is the purpose of this, and what is shown to these cows? In Russia, farmers put VR sets on their cows during the winter season. This is because when it snows, cows can't be let out on the green fields to graze, which stresses them and decreases their milk yields. So, Russian farmers put their VR sets on their cows, and bright green fields are shown to them, which relaxes the cows and increases their milk yields by 22%.
There you go.
Crazy, pero es lo que ellos están viendo. So these animals don't know, reality from virtual reality.
Yeah.
So their body, their mind, their behavior is acting upon that. And, well, you see the results.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. I mean, they're putting these virtual reality, actually two of them, because it doesn't fit their head. Okay, so they got one over here and another one over here. But what they're seeing is greenery and green pastures, so that they think that that's where they're at. And it actually makes them increase their milk supply. And it kind of reminds me, okay, we've been here in Georgia for almost 4 years now, and we're at the end of winter, okay? We're right around spring. Spring is coming soon. We already see everything blooming, okay, starting to bloom, but it has been so gray. Yesterday, I think last night, it rained the entire night. I don't know about you guys, but the weather does affect me. Like when I see that it's raining or it's gray outside, I kind of feel like I just want to stay indoors. I want to grab like a blanket. I just want to be watching like my favorite show or that type of thing. It doesn't make me want to feel like productive at all. So it kind of reminds me of that. I don't know if you're affected by the weather. Are you affected by the weather?
Everybody's affected by the weather.
I think so too.
That's something that you cannot delete from your human perception.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is that not only the weather affects, how people feel, also colors. When we talked about animals, we seen, for example, in Spain, and the los toreros, they hold this red
That's true.
thing, como una sábana.
Yes.
And that attracts the bull. He sees that as something that aggravates him,
He
makes
wants
him
to
upset.
charge.
So the color red has been used, not only in animals, but it's also used in humans. That's why
Yes.
we have the red light. We have the red stop sign, because red means to stop. Now let's talk about the way that the body naturally feels about red. When you bleed red.
Yes.
Red means that there's something wrong. There's a warning. There is even used by some animals as a warning signal that I am poisonous.
Oh, wow. So like the serpents, when they have red?
Yeah.
Yes, I heard of that.
Yeah, but all depends on the combination of the colors.
Oh,
Some of
okay.
them, they use it as a disguise to push you away. Like the king snake, and there's other kinds of snakes that they also have the red color and the red color, thinking about that they are some other kind of snake that they're venomous when they're not really. venomous. But they use that thing because they know that the rest of the animals know, oye, si yo tengo un color, that means that I am poisonous, I am bad for you. So it is used also in marketing. Por ejemplo, la Coca-Cola lo usa muchísimo
Yes,
to attract attention.
that is true.
And there's other colors that they give you different sensations. Por ejemplo, when you go to, we were talking about prison earlier. When you go to any jail, any prison, usually they have color grays
Yes, super depressing.
or pink. Okay, the color pink's supposed to calm yourself down, give you, a sense of calmness, and that's why they paint it gray or pink. There's a reason for it.
I remember when my kids were little, I heard, especially working a lot with kids with special needs, some of the colors that were recommended to be painted like in therapy rooms or in their bedrooms were the blues and the greens because they were very calming. So if you enter into a room that is like a light blue or it's like the tones are green, it is more calming versus if you walk into a room that is painted either red walls, which sometimes I remember back in the day, I think in the early 2000s, I had painted one wall like a burgundy and the rest was mustard color. And I loved it. But the truth is that there wasn't as much calm there, or...
Te alteraba.
Yeah, or girls, sometimes they like to paint their rooms hot pink or the purple. It's a little bit more excitable, even the yellow, more excitable versus the blues and the greens that are more calming.
Let's go into the blue and let's go into the green.
Okay.
Why we act as humans, very
Calmer?
favorably to the green color.
Okay,
for example,
why?
Because of the scenery. The body knows when you see the trees, you see the mountains.
They're more
You
relaxing,
see the grass.
which is the
you see
cow
the plants.
situation.
Correct. They feel like it's a beautiful, place to be. It's a natural place. We're supposed to be surrounded by
Okay.
trees and by plants.
Right.
And when you see the color blue, recalls what is called primordial visual.
Ooh, that's a big one.
A primordial visual is something that genetically you have encoded in your genes that it lets you know that the blue has to do with water, that the blue has to do with the sky.
Interesting.
So when the sky is blue, it's not going to rain. If it's not going to rain, then you're safe, you're good. When it rains, people hide from the rain. They don't want to get wet. They don't want to get sick. They don't want to get struck by lightning. So the blue means everything is okay. And we can go into not only the colors, but the sounds. When I mention the word primordial means, it identifies with something that genetically we are born. For example, when talking about sounds specifically, when a baby cries,
Yes.
the mother
I freak out. I hate it.
lactates.
Well, I don't lactate.
Not you,
When there's a newborn baby
right?
and that mother hears their newborn baby cry, of course, they feel like their milk supply comes out.
Why? Because that sound activates the internal system of the mother.
Something that I've been noticing for me specifically, I have tried lately to go to sleep at night with absolutely no sounds because we use ocean sounds. Joe and I, we love the ocean sounds. Some people have like a little, machine that plays different either ocean sounds or a rainforest or whatever the case may be. But I have tried to fall asleep without it and I'm tossing and turning and tossing and turning.
And it's hard.
Yeah, I can't do it anymore. I hear the ocean sounds and immediately it starts to relax me. And if I think about the ocean sounds right now, I can fall asleep.
Mira, let's go another one into the primordial sound that the body actually identifies.
Yeah.
If you hear crickets sounding, the nighttime sounds, it tells the circadian clock of your body that it's nighttime. And that's why we use all these recorded, sounds to fall asleep because the body knows that when you hear the cricket and that nighttime sounds, that means that it's nighttime and you go to
That
sleep.
is so cool.
It is incredible how
That's cool.
colors and sound affects human
They
behavior.
affect you. And not only
It's
human
crazy.
behavior, but obviously animal behavior.
Oh, yeah.
And from what we're seeing with these cows and what they're doing is that as they are enticed to see the greenery, to see like pastures that are green and that kind of thing, their productivity level goes up and their milk supply goes up.
And not only
So-
animals, also plants. If you have plants in your home
Oh.
and you play classical music and you talk to the plants, Some people say that que estás loco, but it's
Well,
not.
I mean, if I have a plant, unfortunately, I don't do well with them. I kill them. But Joe has a green thumb. Anything that he gets, like a plant, will definitely thrive.
Well, no, I talk to the animals, I talk to plants, I talk to the planet, and I think that it is listening because you can see it. You can see how they react. If you give love, and love is an energy, okay? It has a frequency. Love has a frequency.
Sure, of course.
When I am happy, excited, and I feel love for you, you're going to feel that.
Yeah.
And plants are very sensitive
Well, they
to light.
connect. They connect to that. Tell me just a little bit. We don't have to go into depth, but I want to hear a little bit of your experience. Why did you open a pet shop? And what kinds of animals did you have there?
Okay, this is what happens. When I was young, I was really addicted to wild animals.
Oh,
I'm
boy.
talking about snakes and tarantulas and monkeys.
That's
and
why he ended up with me.
pretty much I can say I had all kinds of animals except elephants, giraffes, or anything that I could not fit in my
Right,
property.
right. Okay,
But-
what was the wildest animal that you had?
The wildest one, I don't know. I think there was a cougar.
You had a cougar?
I had a baby cub cougar, and
Oh,
as it
my
grew,
goodness.
then I passed it on to someone that they had the time and the place to be able to have this
Wow.
kind of animals. So it's something very interesting. I find that wild animals, they can teach you a lot. I think that wild animals are more in tune to the rhythm of the planet. The domestic animals follow what we tell them to do. Wild animals know when to migrate, when there's even bad weather coming.
That's true.
In Japan, they're looking into ants predicting earthquakes because of their behavior. We don't have any kind of instrument that can predict earthquakes. We know when a hurricane is coming.
Tornadoes?
We can, in a way.
Yeah.
Because tornadoes move kind of quickly, but we can never predict an earthquake. And the Japanese are looking into the ants to get that answer. So they have some kind of sensitivity and connected to the planet that we don't have. So the reason why, besides that, I'm fascinated by that I wanted to have a pet shop is that some of the animals that I wanted to have, they require a license.
Oh.
So I couldn't have them in my home without having those licenses. So I happened to, meet a friend of mine that he had a pet shop, and I bought the pet shop from him, and I also inherit the license. So I said, I'm going to have all these animals.
Thank God that was BC before me.
It was crazy.
Before Christy.
I end up having these licenses that allow me to have really tiny monkeys, what they call marmoset, and I had macaques with that they like to swim, and I mean all kinds of different animals.
How about the one, that dragon one? What's it called?
Well, it's called a monitor. Okay, they are originated from Africa. They're this huge lizard. Que, by the way, in the state of Florida, they have major problems because a lot of people back in the 90s and the 80s, they did have exotic animals. By the time they couldn't handle them anymore, they decided to release them into the Everglades. They've been able to adapt, reproduce, and they become un dolor de cabeza.
Yeah, very dangerous.
There was a time that my father actually helped me in the pet shop.
Oh, Lord.
And I have this monitor. They are very aggressive animals. And I was working at the radio station. He went to open up the pet shop, and the animals, he escaped from the cage. So my father was like,
I am not going in there. I wouldn't go in there
you
either.
need to come here and handle this
situation.
beast. Yeah, so it was one of those crazy times that.
I would die.
But that was the reason why I had that pet shop. So I end up having those licenses. I have emus, which are the Australian ostriches, and I used to sell them to people that have license.
Wow.
But also used to rent them for music videos.
Oh, wow. That is cool.
One of them that I do recall was the famous singer Xuxa from Brazil. She was very popular back in the 90s.
She had like a kids show or something?
Yeah. She ended up renting a Burmese albino python that it was white and yellow, huge, similar to the one that Michael Jackson had.
Oh, boy.
But this one was, I think it was not that big. We had a potbelly pig that she wanted. We have iguanas, and we had the emu.
Oh, wow.
And the funny story with the emu is that the person that used to work with me at the pet shop, you transported this in the truck.
I can't imagine.
And she was doing the filming of her new video in South Beach in Miami.
Oh boy.
And when we were bringing down the emu escaped.
It escaped?
It escaped.
It was not in a cage?
It was in a cage, but when we were bringing it down, she happened to escape. She was running down Ocean Drive, and I was running like a madman behind this animal. So imagine, no one has never seen, so people thought it was a dinosaur that escaped from a science lab or something, I don't know what. And I was just chasing that animal.
No.
It was just crazy.
That is chaos.
It was a chaos. And then we finally were able to
Contain her?
Yeah, and yeah. It was a mess.
So it's not like the ostriches. I mean, when we went to the safari, they said that they're kind of like, don't even try to feed them in their mouth because they can bite. How was this animal with you?
No, she was Patricia. What's her name? Patricia. It was very, very beautiful and very sweet. But they all have a temperament. They have
do.
a way of, like any animal, they have their own character. But for some reason, I was like, they call me like Dr. Doolittle. I was able to, to connect with them, understand them, feel them. I read their language.
Well, you had a monkey, right, as a pet.
Oh, yes. Paki. It was a beautiful macaque. He used to go through my hair. That's the way that they show affection and the way that they connect.
Aww.
And I used to take him to the backyard. He had a little swimming pool. I used to throw him, fruits, and he would just dive and get them.
Aww.
He was a very sweet animal. But, of course, I invited a friend to my house. They're very protective, like dogs.
Oh, wow.
And he bit one of my friends. He says, "I hate this monkey." So yeah, that was the reason why I got involved with wild animals. Will I do that again? Maybe.
Absolutely not.
Maybe.
We've got chickens, we've got ducks, and we're good.
I really love wild animals, but if you're considering having any of them, including monkeys, be prepared. They take a lot of your time. They cost a lot of money, and that's something that probably at this time and age of my life, I don't recommend it.
So I came across an interesting... Te voy a meter un piñazo. Sorry about that. I came across an interesting video. And the video was talking about like comparing the older generation with the newer generation. We want to get into this with you guys because I remember my parents used to say, back in the day, this was so much better.
La misma línea de
Or
siempre.
back in my country, this was so much better. And of course, as kids, we just used to roll our eyes. Well, in seeing this, I said, I think this would be a great topic to talk about. Older generation versus newer generation. Let's jump into it.
The older generation had way more fun than today's generation. They were present in every moment. There was nothing there to distract them. They weren't holding up phones and paying attention to nonsense. They were too busy having fun. Some of the largest gatherings in the world, and they were all organic. Today's generation is too busy recording the moment instead of being in the moment. They'll never truly know what real fun was like.
All right, so what do you think of that?
I believe, como todas las generaciones, we gonna hear this as we continue moving forward, as we continue changing throughout generations what we consider fun. Realistically, I believe that you and I, we've been very updated when it comes to understanding the new generation.
Yes.
But realistically, if you look into the reason why we could say we had more fun back then than the fun that they have right now is that the birth of internet has caused, in a way, a huge separation in our social structure.
Yeah.
And at the same way has connected many people, but in a different kind of way.
In a different type of way. For example, like, let's say even having dinner, like sitting down to dinner with your family, it is a struggle for the family members not to be on their phone. One of the things that should be done as soon as you sit down, get your phone and put it aside.
Yeah, but
put them all one on top of the other, make a tower with it, and talk to each other. It has been shown, like throughout time, even in therapy, the dining room table or wherever you guys sit down to eat together. First of all, you should sit down to eat. I had told Joe for many years, I had a trauma about sitting down as a family.
It was really hard for me to convince Cristina,
Yes.
let's sit on the table.
Yes, and I'll tell you why.
And let's have lunch y suelta el teléfono.
Yeah, I had a trauma because in childhood, my parents used to have so many arguments on a daily basis. And I remember specifically that once they would sit down at the dinner table, there was chaos. And so that brought a lot of trauma to me. And I would always tell Joe, I'd rather not sit at the table. So I've had to really work through this and kind of talk to myself and figure out what is it that bothers me so much about actually sitting down at the table and kind of work at it, making new experiences so that I have new memories about sitting at a table, about cooking and serving food so that we can all share time, talk about what is the best thing that happened to you today or what's the worst thing that happened to you today, just so that we can connect because our kids are on the phones all the time. Our kids are constantly just either doing their homework on the phone, talking or texting with friends, watching a video on their social media, and we are not talking to our kids. And so I realized the importance of it, and so I worked at it. But definitely, that was something that I had to work through.
Yeah, because of the situation that you had to. But
yes.
One of the things we used to enjoy a lot, and not long ago, companies that used to sell books, they went out of business. I mean, porque todo se convirtió digital, the same way that the music was very exciting back in the days because you have to go to the record shop y comprabas el album.
I used to love doing that.
And
or listening to the music.
And also as DJs, we used to like contact the record labels and waiting, hey, you're going to be the first one to have the latest one for whatever. And that doesn't happen anymore.
It doesn't.
Todo es digital, todo es right away.
Yeah.
Todo es super fast. It loses the sense of creating a memory, of creating an emotion.
Or the value of it.
No tiene feeling. No tiene feeling.
Yeah.
It really doesn't have a feeling.
Well, I can remember, I used to be an avid reader. Me fascina.
Y comprar el libro. I mean, you
I
like the book
still
because of the
love
cover.
to buy books. I still love to touch the book.
Yeah.
I love to read. And I read for many, many years. I think you can remember memories of me probably in the 2000s still reading books, right? I haven't read books or a book in a long time because now social media or the videos or your TikTok or your Instagram, whatever, kind of takes the place of you reading a book and playing that story in your brain. Even my kids used to be avid readers. They used to love to read.
I know.
And I don't think that my kids have read a book in the longest time. And I'm wondering, are my grandkids going to? Because I know my grandkids love books, but we don't push it anymore because this has been such a huge replacement, unfortunately.
In a way, like I said, todo tiene su beneficio y su, the negative side of it.
Absolutely.
But the other one will be, going to the movies. We used to go to the movies as a group and watch the movie. There was no interruption. There's no pause button.
Yeah.
You get your hot dogs and your drinks and your popcorn, and you will be sitting there and you will be completely immersed in the experience of the movie.
Yeah.
But now, no. I can tell you that I have not seen a movie or anything on TV that I haven't put the pause button to grab a snack or go to the bathroom.
Or somebody just calling you.
Or interrupting you. Somebody's interrupting your phone.
That's the other thing. Nowadays,
takes away the feeling of it completely.
Since we have a cell phone, what happens? People feel like you have to answer your phone all the time because you have a cell phone. And they don't understand if they're calling you, why are you not picking up? If you have the phone, well, I'm watching a movie, or I am eating dinner with my family, or I am reading a book. They don't get that. Now it's like they demand you didn't pick up the phone.
Right. Y te ponen malas
and
caras.
That is annoying.
It is very annoying.
And I love my phone. I don't like to leave my house without my phone because that is my connection to my kids, to my family, to my husband when he's at work. So I like to have my phone with me, but I understand the value of just being able to sit down and read a book or sit down and do a puzzle. I love to do puzzles. Or even one thing that we love to do, and our family is good at that, and we've kept up at that, is playing board games. We
Thank
love
God.
to play
Yes.
games. As a family, it is so much fun. Or we sing karaoke. We love that too. It is so much fun.
It is.
You know, so when we do those nights, as a matter of fact, probably tonight is going to be one of those nights where we do the barbecue. We can do some karaoke. We can play some board games. It's like our funnest nights. We enjoy that the most as
And
a family.
we haven't gone like to the park. We used to go to the park just to walk.
Or even to skate.
Yeah.
Remember the skating rinks?
Oh my God.
You are a great skater.
Yeah, but I haven't done it such a long
I know, but
time.
you're so good, and he looks really good skating, and he does the thing.
Shuffling.
He shuffles, and he does it so good.
I used to love that. I totally forgot about skating.
Yeah. And there's a skating rink here. We need to go.
Okay, pues definitely we're gonna go.
We're gonna go.
Skating. We're gonna take videos y verme como me reviento en el piso.
No,
because
he
I
doesn't
haven't-
fall. I do, but you don't.
I don't know. I haven't done it in a while.
Another thing, shopping.
Oh, it's a otra.
Everybody, you know, enjoys shopping, whatever their interest is.
Cuando tú me dices a mí, te voy a comprar un par de pantalones online, I hate it. How am I going to try them on? How am I going to know they're going to fit? I mean, not all shirts feel the same. Not all shoes feel the same. I mean, if it's something que no es tan, it's fine. But I don't know. I just don't like that feeling.
You know, you can compare it. Like we used to go to the mall, you know, have some lunch, let's go shopping. That has changed completely. I know my business, my candle business, completely is an online business, and it's been a huge blessing. I did everything for Christmas. I did it online. And I'll tell you what, I know that going in person and seeing things and checking them out to the mall, that's fine and dandy. But I do feel that nowadays it's so much better that you kind of know what you want for someone, and you could just go online and with a click, you can buy it. It arrives to your house, and you don't have to deal with parking. You don't have to deal with the mobs of people at the mall. That part I absolutely love.
Yeah, but like I said, we getting antisocial without even knowing. The less that you deal with people, you're desensitizing yourself from the world.
I know.
And then cuando tú vayas a un mall and you haven't gone in 10 years,
You have a panic attack.
and you hear all these people talking and moving, and you're gonna
Bothers
feel like
you.
you're gonna feel really weird.
Yeah.
I mean, it happened to me at the time that I lived in New York. I was used to living en lo que viene siendo el pueblo, tú sabes, el campo, and then all of a sudden you see yourself surrounded with thousands of people walking, y entonces te da un estrés del carajo.
And I love New York.
Yeah, but
I
you
love
don't-
the
you-
energy of New York.
It doesn't help
But not
the
to live
human
there.
race not to socialize. We
course.
need to socialize. It's extremely important to do that. Y yo creo que we're not doing enough of that. There's a company right now, and this is a crazy thing. We're talking about buying stuff online, and she mentioned her candle business. Of course, if you're going to buy a candle, you're going to choose the color, and you're also going to choose the smell.
The fragrance.
Of the fragrance of the candle. But you cannot smell that through the internet. Well, guess what? There's a company. Oigan esto, this is crazy.
What are you going to say?
There's a company that they're building sensors for you to connect them to your computer, and you can actually put the sensor of the smell in that, and the person in the other end of the computer will be able to smell the candle.
What?
Es una locura.
No.
Yep, that's coming up. So God knows what else is going to be.
That is crazy. Back in the day when you were looking to find a date or find a partner, you can be set up for a blind date, or maybe a friend knew somebody that would be perfect for you.
You go to a club.
And you guys would meet, whatever the situation was, right? You go for coffee. Nowadays, dating is online. Okay, so what you do is you go on these online apps and you look for a partner.
Sí, pero you look for it by you're like buying a product. You look into the
like a
profile.
catalog.
Yeah, it's a catalog. Profile, their taste, what they do for a living.
Yes.
Maybe even how much they get paid.
No.
Yes, there's someone on that they have that.
No.
So they will be compatible with you. Because
Well, I
you
do know
wanna
there's a
have-
millionaire matchmaker, and I've seen her show, and that's what she does. These people need to be millionaires, and they say what they're looking for in a partner, and that's how they do it.
Sí, es con un catálogo, like a product, and you try to match them accordingly to that they have similar likes and tastes and different things. And you know what? It takes completely the element of surprise. Life, it's a surprise.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter how much we want to plan it, it will never be the way that you are thinking.
There's been a lot of wonderful success stories with dating online,
Como
okay?
todo.
So a lot of people that I know, they have found their partner online and it's been successful and they love each other and they've made a family and everyone is happy. But back in the day, the way that it was done, I almost feel like it was more, what is the word?
Human. Simple as that.
I guess.
Humans are not meant to be robots. Humans are not meant to be completely calculated when it comes on the outcome of their life. You need to have some openness.
Even if something were, God forbid, something were to happen to you, I would never want to be with anybody else. That's my decision. But I'm saying if that were the case, that I would say, okay, I want to do my life over again. I don't think that with my way of thinking and how I was brought up, I could go into an online dating app.
It would be
It would
difficult.
have to be someone so special, and it would have to be so organic, and like God came down and said, hey, this person, because to go into that world of online dating, it just scares me to death. We sound like oldies, but I promise you we are goodies, okay? And definitely kids, I am telling you that there are a lot of things that was better back in the old day than it is now. There's wonderful things now, like the things like, for example, our Facebook, that you've been able to connect with people that you went to elementary or you went to high school with. That stuff is great. Instagram, I mean, sometimes at night, we're looking at some Instagrams and I am just dying laughing. I love the ones where people are falling or people get scared all the time. I think that's hilarious and I'm just laughing and laughing away. That stuff is great. TikTok is fantastic. And also, a lot of people have been able, I mean, my daughter, my son, ourselves, we've been able to do a lot of stuff on social media and connect with a lot of you through things like social media that we are right now. But I think everything in balance is really where you want to be. You just want to keep a balance in life. And that's really the hardest part. Listen, we got to put on our goggles and we got to think we're out in a green meadow, you know, and just change it and turn it around. And it's hard to do.
I think we have to take out
You think so?
the goggles from the virtual reality world
And look at the grayness and be here.
and the grayness that has created.
You know, it also has a purpose. All of it has a purpose.
Claro. The up and downs in your life tienen una razón de ser. There's no doubt in my mind.
Of course.
Pero, como tú
They're
dijiste,
all learning opportunities.
it's a balance. No seas extremista en las cosas. I hope que ustedes aprendieron algo, that you have fun with us, and that you follow us. And we want to get to know you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for listening to us. Don't forget to like this video if you liked our content. Subscribe to our channel and also share it with a friend. Thank you so much for being here.
Tengo hambre.
Ay, yo también tengo hambre. ¿Vamos a comer?
Vamos a comer.
Ok. Los amamos.